Hello, listeners. I'm Timstradamus, and welcome to another Midweek Jaunt. Joining me, as always, is my talented and beautiful co-hostess, Voyse.
Good morning, Timstradamus, and welcome to all of our listeners. So, Damus, what did one pickle say to the other?
Pickle Rick. No.
Deal with it.
Deal with it? Okay.
I thought it was so funny. I just want a shirt that just says deal with it, and there's like a pickle on it.
I'm willing to bet that exists somewhere.
It needs to if it doesn't.
Well, for any new listeners out there, I will give you a brief rundown of what we do on this channel. Voyse collects stories she sees on the internet that tickle her fancy. We give our opinions on them.
And we hopefully hear back from you on what your perspectives are.
Ta-da!
We have simplified those. Now for your reward, Damus.
Oh?
You get some water.
Oh, that's where you were going with this.
Because it's Hydration Wednesday.
Water. I mean, you need it to live, so I'm not complaining about that.
It just makes up like 80% of our body. Well, while you go ahead and enjoy your water, and for all of our listeners, please remember to stay hydrated while it's hot. Why don't we go ahead and delve into these stories? For any listeners wanting to follow along, all story links are in the description below. For our first story, am I the a-hole for refusing to run the dishwasher in my own home? I, female 32, live in a fairly updated home with a nice dishwasher. Nothing's wrong with the dishwasher. I just don't like using it. I think it wastes water, and I'm worried that frequent use will cause it to malfunction sooner and flood our kitchen. Also, hand washing dishes allows me to deal with them immediately instead of waiting around for a dishwasher cycle and having dried food stuck on the plates in the meantime. This has never been a problem until my husband, 35 males, sister, Kelly, and her family moved to our town a few months ago. Kelly and her 2 little kids come over to play with my toddler and seem to have a lovely time. And while the kids are playing, Kelly will hang out with my husband and catch up. A few weeks ago, Kelly mentioned to my husband that it was weird and frustrating that we don't believe in using the dishwasher. She said she's annoyed that she's constantly being asked to help us hand wash our dishes. This is true. We always ask guests to pitch in with the dishes to make the work go faster, and also because we can still talk/hang out while working. Kelly said it's also annoying that she doesn't make the choice to avoid the dishwasher, but is still pulled into the consequences of that decision. She said that always being asked to help with dishes makes her not want to come over. I see her point, but also I think it's rude to boycott someone's house over their dishwasher choices. Hand washing the dishes takes maybe 10 minutes max of her multi-hour visits. Plus, it's my home, and I think I should be allowed to decide which of my kitchen appliances I want to use at any given time. Am I the a-hole for refusing to use my dishwasher?
No. Now, I may not come over to your house, OP, and may not like to, but that's also my choice as your guest. Why would, I think it's Kelly, right? The sister-in-law?
Correct.
Why would you have anything to say about how something is run when you're coming over to someone's home? If you don't like the way that's going, don't come over to their home. You can invite them over to your place. So why make someone feel bad about how they want to operate? Now, is it a little weird the way she's going about how she thinks about it? If I use it this much, it's going to, break quicker and flood the floors. That might be a little more interesting to delve into why she feels that way. Appliances are there to be used. And you can't be worried about things that are eventually going to happen. You're just punishing yourself twice. I never get behind that type of thinking, but everyone's different. It is funny, though, that you have all your guests pitch in to do the dishes, because I know how it functions for us. If we're over someone else's house, or at least me anyway, if I haven't pitched in as far as cooking is concerned, I almost feel obligated to help out with whatever it is. If it's grilling or if it's doing some of the dishes, I've always been that person, but that's how I was raised. Be useful. That's just kind of the way it works for me. But I've never had a situation where I was over someone else's home and they almost demanded me wash dishes with my hands.
I think that's the part in this story that at least rubs me the wrong way.
And you're allowed to have that, but I'm still going to stay on the fence of if it does rub you that way and you know that this is a thing that is asked of you when you're over this person's home, all you have to do is not go over to their home. You can still invite them to your home where you can do things the way you'd like. That's just how I feel about it. So in my opinion, OP, you wouldn't be the a-hole. Weird reasons and weird requests of people, but they don't have to come over to your home if they know that this is what happens.
So the consensus on Reddit is our OP is the a-hole.
I kind of figured.
For many Redditors, it's okay that OP has a certain way to take care of stuff. But that all stops when you're essentially demanding that your guests clean in your home, like literally wash with your hands, and essentially consider it quality time.
Did I look at it too? I know it's weird. I even brought it up. I said, I know it's weird that you're requesting that of a guest, but if that guest is repeatedly coming to your home and knows what they're signing up for every time they walk in, is it more on you as the person, or is it the guest that keeps going?
See, they just said that they moved in a few months ago. So for me, it's not like they've done this for a period of a couple years. They're trying to get to another family that they're trying to spend time with, right? At least that's how I view it. And for me, I consider it rude. As someone who is and has hosted, I generally do the dishwashing. Or if someone asks if they'd like to help, I'll let them assist me. But I never let them do it all. I find that to be a polite thing to ask and to accept, but not one as the host to demand.
Yeah.
Now, the other flip of the coin that I've encountered is I've been to other people's houses where I've essentially asked, is there anything I can do? And I've been told, no, don't worry about it. Yep. And if you continue to force the subject, then you're being rude as a guest. So it's almost these lines of etiquette that changes from place to place. It just depends on where you're at. Now, as a guest, if I come over to your place and there's a lot of dishes, because I imagine they're talking about toddlers, they're talking about meals for 4 adults, potentially. There's going to be a lot of dishes. I don't think it's just 10 minutes. I think her OP's estimation is what she does when she's alone with the kids, not what happens when you're dealing with bigger group settings.
Sure.
So I think that you're underplaying that. And then on top of that, our OP says that they have a new dishwasher. These new dishwashers are really nice. You actually waste less water in these new dishwashers than you would constantly running your water in the sink. So I go back and forth as to our OP trying to justify their use of not using the dishwasher and their misinformation when it comes to trying to feel as if the dishwasher is, one, it's not outdated. They said it's an updated, nice dishwasher. So it's clearly probably one of those that uses like 4 gallons of water. If you spend 10 minutes running your water, you're using gallons and gallons of water.
I wonder if it's just how she feels comfortable and it's something she's always done. Because there are some people I've bumped into that refuse to, either way of that argument, either wash dishes with their hands because they've never done that. So this is what a dishwasher is made for. Or the other way around, I've always washed with my hands. This is how I feel clean. I've heard those things.
For me, it is, if you want to wash dishes the way that you want, that's your choice. It is your home. And you're very right. Guests can decide not to come. That's essentially what Kelly's saying, is because you're having this rule where your guests have to help out and you're not wanting to use the dishwasher. And I don't want to come to your place just to clean. I wanted to come to your place to relax and have fun. But you're making me feel as if I have to do this. And now I'm uncomfortable. I don't want to come over. Now you have OP that's like, why is she making me feel bad about my choice in my own home?
There might be a little more push and pull with that story, because I know that the sister-in-law has more than one child. Correct. That she's bringing over for multiple hours to hang out and play. So essentially it becomes a form of, I'm not saying daycare, but what I am saying is there's a lot to deal with when you're dealing with toddlers and how much you have to clean and keep things sterile as far as what they're eating with, bottles, whatever have you. There might be some, hey, look, you're not just coming to not have to deal with all the mess that your kids make when you're here. As a parent, I can understand that. I'm not here depending on how many times they come over, because this doesn't sound like it's a once a week thing. This sounds like this is kind of almost a situation where you're getting your kids more acclimated and socialized. So they're coming over more than once. If that's the case, I think you're more than within your right to say, look, you're bringing over all these kids. I'm not going to sit here at the end of a day having to clean up all of this mess when both of us have as equal a share in this.
So use the dishwasher or I'm not coming.
Then you don't come. I still am going to go. If you know that's what you're walking into, then have them come over to your home and use a dishwasher.
I just don't find fault with Kelly saying that she doesn't want to come over because of this weird rule. I don't feel our OP should feel bad about the rule, but they shouldn't be surprised at these consequences.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of Redditors out there that do find it rude.
Maybe
if you force someone when you invited them over, it's rude.
Sure. Now, the first one, fine. I'll give you that. If I'm being cold open to that and going, oh, I didn't realize that I was going to have to wash with my hands at your home after we hung out. That might be, yes, I can agree with that being wrong. But day 2, 3, however many visits you've had now, you're signing up for that in someone else's home. And
now
you should
Kelly's
be aware of that.
unsigning.
Yeah, hey, come on over. It can be a nice little joke. Like, no, we ain't going over your house because I'm not cleaning for you. It's easy. Maybe I guess what I'm saying is I don't really find a-holes here.
Yeah.
Maybe after the first one, yeah, that catches you off guard. Fine, that's a-holy. But after that, no, we all know what the game is here. Kelly, good on you. Stay at your house.
Well, let's go to our next story and see what you think about a warning tap. My husband gave me a warning tap and I called it abuse. Am I the a-hole? As I am writing this, I am laying in bed with my mom. She's helping me gather my thoughts for some other opinions. I am female 24 and my husband is male 30. We've been together for 3 years and married for 1. This is a throwaway account, just in case. About a week ago, my husband and I got into an argument over his phone, which he had misplaced. I was in the shower when he lost it, and when I came out, he was throwing a fucking fit over it. He was like, "Where did you put it? Have you seen it?" Angrily yelling and snapping. I said I hadn't touched it and I needed to get dressed. My husband was standing in the doorway, looking behind the door so I couldn't open it. I said, "Hello, move please." Apparently my tone was rude because my husband turned around and shoved me into the room. I was like, "Okay, you need to calm down. I can help you look, but I gotta get dressed." He tells me to hurry up. I snap back, "I'm not gonna hurry up. It isn't my f***ing fault." My husband turned around and hit me on my mouth with the back of his hand. It didn't even really hurt, but I was appalled. He called it a warning tap because of my attitude. I left right then and there. I called my mom and came over. I haven't left. My brother took me over the next day to get a few things. My husband asked me if all this is really necessary, and I said, yeah, it is when you abuse your wife. He was so stricken that I called it abuse. He screamed at me for it. He said I can ruin his career if I use that word. I know that I can, and I know that he didn't even hurt me, but that's how I feel. He sent me several texts threatening to divorce me if I use that word again or try to hurt his career by saying it to someone important. Am I the a-hole for saying this, potentially citing this, and potentially ruining his career?
All right, well, this is a pretty gross story. We do definitely have abuse here. I was following along till you said, he shoved me into the room. When would that ever be acceptable?
It's
right?
Never acceptable.
And then she's able to see through that and still adhere to his demand, right? Help me look for this. At that point, the second you lay hands on anyone, the rational side of the conversation is over. At that point, it's about getting away from that person. But she still stuck through that, heard his demands. And then when she's saying, let me get dressed, he backhands her because of a perceived attitude. No one has the right to hold your autonomy hostage. That's really gross. And I'm so sorry that ROP has had to deal with that. Good on your mom and your family for being at your side and giving you that support. Have your husband threaten you with divorce. You should be getting a divorce anyway. They've been together for like 3-4 years, something close to that.
They've been together for 3 years, married for 1.
So 4 years this relationship has been going on.
Correct.
Sad part here is she believes because she wasn't, in her definition, hurt by the backhand and the push, that it was acceptable. I wonder what threshold you have for what you consider abuse is or what you consider to be hurt by is.
Let me go ahead and maybe provide you some insight on that, because our OP said in another comment in the comment section, yeah, he literally said those words. I guess a warning to stop being so rude, but who knows what the next step is. He's never hit me before, but he's pushed me and thrown things in my face before. Also, he's a divorce attorney, but I suppose I just need a better one.
Yes. Yes, you do. I don't care that he hasn't hit you. The pushing is enough. No one should ever be laying hands on you.
Or throwing things at you.
That's all intimidation. If you're being intimidated by a partner, that's not a partner. You don't need that in your life. If this is what you're dealing with, gain space. Get out. It's not worth it. Because you are correct. This is just an escalator, and you don't want to be on the end of whatever's next. The fact that he's unable to see that he's abusive is pretty scary, especially because he's a divorce lawyer. So he would understand what exactly it is he's doing.
I imagine the clientele he probably does have.
Scum industries, baby. We're open for business. So yeah, OP, in my opinion, you are not the a-hole. Call things what they are.
The consensus on Reddit is our OP's not the a-hole. For many of the Redditors, they said, OP, you need to make a swift exit because this is really a warning from him that something worse is going to happen. So honestly, listen to the warning. If anything, I think I was more astounded to hear from our OP in the comment section that before this, it was okay that there was the pushing and the throwing. And I just need to put this out there. It's not okay that that happens. That is abuse and is extremely toxic. For him to try and intimidate you, especially knowing that he's a divorce lawyer, to make you, OP, feel as if you will get nothing because of something that is his profession, that is absolutely wrong.
You'll get everything. What I mean by that is even if he takes all the materialistic crap that he owns, you'll still leave with everything because you'll have you. At the end of the day, that's what matters. You leaving that relationship intact. Well, as intact as you can be, because there's a lot of sketchy things that she's been taught to believe that are okay through this whole experience. Like the second someone starts throwing things, the second they start laying hands on you, even if it's a push, it's done.
I must say, and I think this will be funny to bring up, how many times have I lost my phone, Timstradamus?
Almost all the time. We have fun figuring out all the stressful places.
It's become a joke between you, our son, and me when it comes to how many times I've lost my phone, whether it's in the house or in the car. So what is the first thing that you and I think to do when I lose my phone?
Well, normally we ask for the assistant to call the phone. Like Google or something like that. Right? Where's my phone?
Because I literally have to have the find it because of how often I lose my phone. Before then, though, you know what you did? You called it for me.
Yeah.
Because that's what rational people do. Yeah. What they don't do is absolutely lose their shit.
You and I have both done that. Our son loses his phone just as much as you do. He got that through you.
Our daughter will probably lose her phone in the future.
It's in the genes, baby. But I don't know. I do understand people have a different way of handling their life and looking at stress, but
that's not it.
We can learn better ways and they don't have to come at the cost of other people.
The fact that she would come over and she's got her brother with her and he would say, do you really think this is all necessary? And she calls it what he is. And he goes from 0 to 100 yelling at her. Those are more warning signs.
Oh, if I'm that brother, there wouldn't even be speaking. Just based off of hearing you put hands on my sister? No, sir. We're politely grabbing our stuff and we are leaving.
Well, let's go ahead and walk away from this pretty gross story and let's go into our next story, which, who knows, it may be awful, it may not be. For our next story, am I the a-hole for refusing to pay delivery and maternity expenses for the child? About 11 months ago, I, male 28, found out that my girlfriend, female 24, was cheating on me. We'd been together for 4 years and lived together for almost 2. I thought we had a great relationship. We got along well, regular weekly dates, traveled a lot together, and had tons of plans for our future together. We'd even talked about me proposing as soon as she got her finances in order. I found out she was sleeping with a guy whose friend with a best friend's boyfriend. I told her to kick rocks and that I never wanted to see her again. She went on and moved in with that best friend and her boyfriend. During that time, she never told her family that we broke up or no longer lived together. A few weeks after she moved out, she reached out and told me that she was pregnant and that she is certain that it's mine because the times she cheated, they used condoms. For context, my pop passes when I was a child, and I have very little memories of him, and as a result, my family struggles, and it affected me for a long time. I told her, when the kid is born and is confirmed as mine, I'll take care of everything. Until then, leave me alone. A few weeks later, we met up, and she swore of everything that the baby is mine and said I should help cover maternity/pregnancy stuffs. I told her, keep receipts of everything you spend of the pregnancy/maternity stuffs. After the child is born, if it's mine, I'll cut you a check to cover all expenses. If it's not, then we'll part ways. She agreed. She then proceeded to get a midwife and a doula for herself, both pretty expensive. She decided on a home birth. Comes time, baby came early and there were complications. She was rushed to the hospital for an emergency C-section, and the baby was kept in one of those wards where they keep newborns who can't survive alone. The day of birth, I went to see her and a nurse took me to see the baby. 2 weeks ago, she sent me receipts for everything and it's totaled over $40,000. And she asked for the money to pay the doula and midwife. I told her, let's wait for the DNA results. Well, turns out I'm not the father. I told her I'm sorry, but she's on her own. She cried and said she and the child are ruined if I don't step up and help them, and went on how we can have a successful relationship together and raise the kid, and how she's matured and will be a good partner. I told her I have no interest raising someone else's child and to call on the real father. Well, the guy is broke and is a cashier at the local store. Now everyone in her family is trying to convince me to at least pay off the $40,000. And before going our ways, I said no. Am I the a-hole for refusing to step up here?
How unmeasured and insane is everyone on that girl's family side? That's a wild concept. Do you not all understand? And maybe they didn't get the story. Maybe they don't fully understand that she cheated on him and got pregnant through that action.
I mean, he says that they weren't even aware that she's not living with him.
I hope that through their chiding him along to do this, that he was able to explain that she cheated, got pregnant, and then he held to his, and I do agree with this, by the way, if there is any
doubt,
yes, of the conception of that child, hold on to your money. Get to the end when you guys can have a DNA test, because it definitely was needed in this situation. And then he played it all properly in my mind. He said, keep every single receipt, and I will make sure that I cover what it is I'm supposed to cover. That's taking care of your family. I can get behind people that take responsibility for the actions they have in life. That's not his kid. He doesn't owe her or that child anything. Things are so bad with the guy she chose to cheat on with that she's having to beg the ex. You have zero shame. You're coming back to him saying, hey, I've become a better partner through all of this. We'll raise this child. I just need you to pay this $40K off for me. No, you have a boyfriend who is the father of that baby.
And that you're living with.
Yep. He can pay it off. If you have a child, it is now your responsibility to take care of that child, not the ex-boyfriend you chose to cheat on. In my opinion, OP, you did the right thing. You handled this the best way you could, and it ended up working out for you in the end. This is the fun part for me about this type of story. The cheater goes to him and goes, I know 100% that is your baby. Your values and your opinions already are suspect because of the fact that you cheat. So why would I believe in a relationship that lasted for 4 years or so that everything was kind of lining up? It sounded like they had everything ready to roll and he was going to propose soon, right? Education was good. Jobs were good. We're about to be on our feet, get on to the next stage. If I can't trust you with all of that, why would I trust you with a simple thing like knowing who the father is?
That's very true.
So he did the right thing at that point. OP, you're not the a-hole.
The consensus on Reddit is that OP's not the a-hole. For Redditors, OP was extremely clear. If the baby was his, he'd cover the costs. Baby is not his, therefore it's not his responsibility. Honestly, the fact that he would go ahead and cover all those costs, good on him. He was going to do it. He told her to save all those receipts, keep it all together. I'll cover whatever you need. If the baby's mine, I will definitely take care of my child. He was even there when the baby was born to make sure that he was at least present. Now, other Redditors say, OP, make sure you get yourself tested for any STDs because you don't know what could happen. Our OP said thanks. I did 4 months after she moved out. Everything came out negative, and I had more tests done a month ago, still negative and cleared. Now, we actually have a couple updates. So let me go ahead and read that now. OP says, update, I had to lawyer up. She's still pushing the deadbeat dad narrative and painting me as a bad guy. Second update, hey guys, since having to get a lawyer, I blocked her and everything in her circle. I shared with family and friends the DNA results, and they were all baffled by her brazenness. Some of them had a good laugh, especially my mom, who never liked her much. My lawyer told her that she needed to fix what she's done and clear my name, or we'd sue her amongst other things. Last night, she made a post on Facebook telling everyone that she and I have not been together for nearly a year, and that the child isn't in fact mine. She made another post and tagged the guy who's supposedly the father. She messaged me on WhatsApp. I hadn't blocked her there. She apologized and said she was desperate and angry at herself for cheating and wished on everything she never did and that I was the father, and said she hopes we can maybe be friends. I never answered her message and don't plan on it.
It is what it is. We choose the things we do in life, and we have to deal with the outcomes, regardless of them being good or bad.
This is like one of those games where you play, where you gamble. Because when you cheat, you don't know what's happening. You've made dumb choices. Your relationships are broken. You're starting to try and build a relationship on something that was already messed up to begin with. And then you delude yourself into thinking that you can have something back that you lost. It is a valuable lesson, especially when you hear these stories. When you do something as awful as cheat, you're putting your selfishness before your relationship. Well, let's go on to our very last story and see if I can maybe bring us back with a bit of humor. Today, I fucked up. I made the entire ER think I had a heart attack. Welp, so I scared an entire ER into a code mode for a stupid reason. I'll preface this by saying one thing about my medical history. I have torn the muscles between my ribs in a work-related accident a few years back. They are very scarred and do not hinder me in any way in a normal life. Scarred muscles are not as good with blood flows as non-harmed muscles are. I've been having these chest pains while working night shifts. Nothing serious, just a bit of discomfort. My blood pressure is on the high side, so I've been told by my doctor to monitor it. This put me on edge about heart stuff. Now, at my work, there are 2 places where to sit. At station 1, I was fine. At station 2, I got these chest pains. As it happened by chance, I always got station 2 for night shifts and station 1 for day shifts. The same doctor who warned me about my blood pressure also said that I probably should stop working nights. Then I took the one night shift after a coworker before me had adjusted the chair to an extreme backwards tilt. I was fine for a few hours. Then I got these really bad chest pains on my left side of my body. My left arm went all numb, cold, and hurty. The pain got worse and worse, and I could just barely use the keyboard with my left hand. This is all happening inside a hospital. So I went to the ER and asked the nurse in charge if this is something to be worried about. She freaked the fuck out. Well, not really. She's an extremely professional, cool, and collected person, but she raised the whole emergency team to rally for a possible heart attack. They put a blood saturation meter on my left index finger, and it did not read anything. 0. Zilch. No finger there, sir. I had to stop them from cutting my clothes up while they did an ECG. That's electrocardiology. It's where they put all those electrodes on your body to measure how the heart is doing, and everything was completely fine. The doctor then asked a lot of questions about these chest pains, including back and neck problems. As we discussed this, it started to dawn on me. The chest pains only happened during night shifts. Not at home, even if I stayed up all the way to 4 a.m. The only time I had had a night shift without chest pains was when not sitting in the chair for station 2. It was the goddamn chair that caused all this. I tested this, And I was right. The chair 2 made my chest hurt. Chair 1 did not. Sitting on chair 2 for a few hours made all these symptoms happen. Somehow, the way the chair is made impedes blood flow on me. Not like a chokehold, but just a bit. It takes hours. The scarring of my muscles on my left side made this lack of blood flow to manifest as something way more severe. It was not the night shift. It was not my heart. It was not the overall stress I'm feeling as a fresh father. The stress about high blood pressure made way for psychosomatic symptoms, and I was freaked out. It was the goddamn chair. After adjusting it to a position that I find more uncomfortable, I no longer get these random chest pains. I'm really sorry to all those people who attended me. Good job. The too long don't read. A shitty chair made me think I was having a heart attack.
Don't feel bad for them. They got their money from it. So
That's true.
They were just doing their jobs.
Apparently they know OP. Can you imagine? You know someone and you are so worried that something terrible is happening. Yeah. I didn't know this was possible. So this was for me a really big eye-opener that something like torn muscles slow down blood flow and can, in this case, make you feel as if you're having a heart attack. The fact that they would put on that little measuring where they would have the pulse on your finger and it read nothing, crazy.
Well, the good thing is at least he was in the hospital. If something was going to happen, at least that's probably one of the best places to be.
Oh, yes. A Redditor who says that they're a medical person said, I would rather slap an EKG on a dozen people who are fine than miss a heart attack.
And that's why I said, don't feel bad for them. They were just doing their jobs. And at least you're okay. You do need to monitor and keep a track of your high blood pressure, though. That can be a problem later on. And that's really, he says it was psychosomatic of what he was already dealing with. And sometimes we can play into our own heads, especially when we know something like high blood pressure leading to, cardiac problems. But hopefully for him, he works on that.
And he's a new dad. Can you imagine everything that he's dealing with? And he's like, am I having a heart attack every time at night? What is happening?
At least you figured it out.
They say, what is it? The silent attackers are silent heart attacks, and people don't even know it.
Yeah, but I'm happy everything worked out and it wasn't as serious as he thought.
Me too.
And at least you're working around a bunch of people that care about you.
Oh, definitely. And never think that something is as little as it is, because you never know. OP could have had something, right now it was the chair, but if you don't take it seriously, some people actually have underlying conditions that they overlooked. And if it wasn't for that one person that really cared, they're lucky individuals. I was reading some of these stories in the comment section.
I guess the moral of this story is don't let other people tell you that it's in your head. I have read too many stories and have seen too many of that type of scenario play out with people. And had they just gone to see someone earlier, could have avoided a lot. And
Agreed.
That type of mindset can be a very devastating thing as far as your mental stability. So don't let people play you.
I second that.
Well, was that our last story?
That was our last story.
We got super serious at the end of that one.
We did. It was supposed to be lighthearted. It was the goddamn chair.
Yeah. Then it turned into a PSA.
Take care of yourself.
Please.
We love you.
Take care of yourself. Well, as our stories come to a close, don't forget, you see in the world what you carry in your heart.
If you have enjoyed listening to us read and talk about today's stories, please rate, subscribe, and turn on notifications for new content. We regularly post on Mondays and Wednesdays. And on our Patreon, we have our Damas After Dark episodes that happen on Fridays.
It's pretty cool.
It is.
And as always, listeners, we look forward to hearing your opinions in the comments below. What did you think about the stories today?
That warning tap one.
No. Never accept abuse of any kind. I understand us learning from things and seeing what a boundary is. That's different.
But the thing is, it sounds like she's been dealing with it for a hot minute, and that's crazy.
To the point where she thought it was acceptable. But how do you know it's healthy if you've never been in a healthy relationship?
That's very true.
That is the worst part of all these types of stories, is she clearly didn't understand that that is not something you should tolerate ever. I wish we would start having little mini classes for kids growing up going, look, these are the absolutely no's. If you're experiencing this in a relationship, it is no longer a safe relationship to be in. If someone put your hands on that, no, we do not tolerate this.
Do not put your hands on others.
And on the other end, if these are things that you think are acceptable, we need to go ahead and get you help.
Agreed.
There are better ways of handling our stresses and our anger and all of those type of things, our emotions, than just take them out on other people.
Take a crayon and just scribble it.
I mean, that's more acceptable than putting your hands on someone.
Very true.
That story is not good. Hopefully other people have, through Reddit, gotten to see that, and maybe it's opened some more eyes.
I hope so. Well, let's go ahead and bring this back to something a little more lighthearted and actually say thank you so much to all of our Teacher-Rounds for your continued support.
Yes, we love and appreciate every single one of y'all. And remember, if you post it, maybe we'll see it on the internet. I am hankering for some Yogurtland.
Oh, yes. Yes.